Spiel Des Jahres nominations for this year have been announced, which is beautifully exciting news for all of us. What is it? What is it? Well, this is one of the biggest awards in tabletop, possibly the biggest award in tabletop, and it comes in three forms. We have the Spiel Des Jahres, which is our main award, which is given mostly to family games, and then we have the Kennerspiel, which is for expert games, I think is how it's described, Connoisseur games, so those ones that do particularly well but maybe aren't family tabletop games, and then the Kinderspiel, which is the Children's Game Award. Now those three are incredibly important awards in gaming, and for that reason it's really exciting when things like the nominations come out, because we get an idea of ones that have been particularly well received and ones in line to become the winner. So without further ado, let's take a quick look at those nominations, and you can let me know in the comments which ones you would like to win, which ones you think will win, and which ones you think should be on the list. Let's start with the big boy, which is Spiel Des Jahres. I say it's the big boy purely because it is the one that gave it its name, and it is the one that is the longest running. You'll recognise things like Ticket to Ride and Catan, all winners. Now we have the opportunity for our new ones, and this nomination is The Adventures of Robin Hood by Michael Menzel. Now, we spoke to Michael Menzel on a couple of occasions. We've spoken to him here on YouTube, you can see that, or also as a feature in the magazine, so be sure to check that out. Now, the game itself is a take, of course, on Robin Hood, robbing from the rich and giving to the poor, but with a really interesting system where the board has no set track. Your movement isn't completed by requirement of move 3 spaces forward, but by the distance that it provides you with, which is a really interesting mechanic. Next up in nominations is Micro Macro Crime City by Johanna Sitch with Pegasus Spiel. Now, we first came into contact with this game through a series of postcards that appeared at the office. Now, each of them had a really intricate, beautifully line-drawn illustration on them, and they all seemed to slowly fit together as we received more and more of them. As we looked through, we realised there was a character that would appear in one and then another, doing different things as they went along. This is the premise of Micro Macro, and what that means is you're going to get a huge sheet that covers your table and things that you're going to need to find out the answer to. What happened to the baker? Who killed this person? What happened next? It's like Where's Wally meets Detective, but in the best possible way. Now, of course, it wouldn't be me if I didn't direct you to a review that we have of the game. You can check that out on tabletopgaming.co.uk, but otherwise a really great entry and a really fun one too. And the third nomination is Zombie Teens Evolution by Annick Levette and Scorpion Mask. This is a family legacy game that is after brains. This is one that is a really interesting way to take kids through a legacy game. So you'll get certain stages, open envelopes, see what happens next, before you sort of games through chapters in a really, really interesting way. Now, Scorpion Mask have some phenomenal games out at the moment, and also they have an entry and nomination in the Kinderspiel 2. So they are having a stellar year. You can see a little bit about their studio, so we interviewed them about that over on our website. Once again, it's tabletopgaming.co.uk, but it is a really interesting nomination and a really kind of family-friendly, fun one to add in. There were also some recommendations, which I will list here, which are ones that sort of the judges wanted to give a nod to that are doing particularly well. The one that I have on my wish list is Point Salad, and that's because it's all over TikTok. Be sure to let me know how you found that game and whether you think that game should have made the nominations rather than the recommendations. Then we have the Kennerspiel. So I mentioned this was sort of the Connoisseur Award, in their words, not mine, and this is sort of the more complex side of gaming maybe, where it's not one that you'd immediately get out for the family at Christmas, but maybe with your board game group you would love it. And with that, I'm excited that the first entry is The Lost Ruins of Arnak. This was rated a must-play in the review by our editor, and also featured on our editor's favourite games of 2020, so we can also recommend that this is a great game. This is a mixture of a worker placement, deck building and exploration theme, where you're going to be exploring an uninhabited island for sort of mysteries and finding out what happened and all sorts of interesting little mysteries for you to solve. It's certainly been a really interesting one, and one that has been particularly popular, we've found, over the last year too, so a worthy nomination. Then we have Fantasy Realms, which is a card game. You're going to be drafting and discarding cards and trying to build the best realm you possibly can. It's one of those games that's super quick to pick up. It's only a very short rulebook, and it's an easy one to share with friends and family, making it make the list. However, all is not as it seems, because those cards have penalties and bonuses on them that mean you're going to have to think pretty tactically in order to win, which is why it's made the list. The final one for this award is Paleo, and that is one where you hark back to hunter-gatherer times. Each card is going to represent a life event that you're going to need to be wary of, but you're not too sure what it is when you pick it up because the backs are different. You may pick it up for a certain area like forestry and then find out that something dramatic has happened. That means any movements are just a little less certain than you might intend. And of course there were recommendations for games that didn't quite make the list. You can see those here. It's interesting, I think, to see the Jaws of the Lion there, although interestingly, on the Google Translate page that I initially looked at when this was very first announced, because it's announced in German, they called it Paws of the Lion, which I thought was quite adorable. Not quite the same as Jaws of the Lion, which is the smaller version of the behemoth of Gloomhaven, but still great fun anyway. Once again, let us know if you think any of those should have made the list, or what you would have put on this list for the Kennerspiel. And finally, the Kinderspiel. This is the one for children, and there is no surprise, I think, on some of them. First of all, we have Dragomino, which is a child version, really, of King Domino, which allows you to find dragon eggs, which is beautifully exciting. Then there is Mere London and the case of the 625 scoundrels, where you'll be trying to find out which of the combinations is the scoundrel that committed the crime in front of you. Now this is the second on the list for Scorpion Mask. They are blazing it this year, because of course we had the earlier game too of Zombie Teens Evolution. And last on the list is Storytellers. This is allowing children to enter those stories and find what they want to dream about. It's basically a magical storybook that lets kids befriend their characters, but the characters may change from day to day, so who knows? What was one person something is now a new something too. Great explanation, Charlotte. Recommendations are here, and I'd love to hear what you think of them. It's not till the 19th of July that we find out who the winners of the Kinderspiel and the Spiel des Jahres are, but it's the 14th of June 2021 for the Kinderspiel, so be sure to keep an eye out on social media as to who it is that will win the coveted award. This has just been a quick update. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. I would love for you to discuss with me which ones you think will win or which your recommendations will be, because it also gives me an opportunity to talk about games in the comments, so please do that. If you like more gaming content, hit subscribe because we've got plenty for you. Hit like to let me know if you like this video, and also head to tabletopgaming.co.uk for reviews and features related to those Spiel des Jahres nominees. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye!